Hi, third graders. Today we are going to continue on with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. We're going to read chapters 7 and 8 today. And last time that I was reading, my cat joined us, and you can actually see him right there. He's looking out a window. So today I figured we'd have my dog, William, join. I woke him up from his nap just for this. So I hope you like seeing him. He'll probably jump down a little bit. I hope that you are enjoying being at home with maybe your pets or brother and sisters or grandma and grandpa, whoever's at home with you. And I miss seeing all of you. Even though I love having my dog with me, I would much rather be at school with each and every one of you. So like I said, we're going to continue on with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Last time that we read, we had found out that there's going to be 5 golden tickets hidden in Wonka candy bars. And Charlie's like, oh my gosh, do you think I have a chance? And his grandpa's like, not really. You only get one a year, and there's some kids that can buy a lot more than that. Which we found out with the first 2 winners. So the first winner was Augustus Gloop, and he's this larger boy who eats chocolate multiple times a day, and his mom's like, he's always eating chocolate. Every single day he's in there eating chocolate, more chocolate. So we can see that he has the money and is able to eat chocolate quite often, so it's not super surprising that he won. Now the second person that won was Veruca Salt. She's a very spoiled girl. Her parents give her anything she wants, and she's not exactly nice about it. She's not like, can I please have this? She's like, give it to me now. So she's not exactly sweet. And the way that she won is that her dad bought hundreds of thousands of Wonka candy bars and then brought them to his factory where he has these women working who normally shell peanuts. And he goes, stop what you're doing with the shelling peanuts, and I want you to take wrappers off these chocolate bars until you find a golden ticket. And after 4 days of that, they found the golden ticket. And we kind of had heard from Charlie's like, that doesn't seem fair, and his grandparents agreed, but it does count. She still gets the golden ticket, and she is the second person to go in. Now, today, chapter 7 is called Charlie's Birthday. And if you remember, it's been mentioned multiple times, the one thing that Charlie gets for his birthday is a Wonka candy bar. So I had you I wanted you to comment on my post last time I read, saying if you think he is going to find the chocolate bar or not, or the golden ticket. Obviously going to find a chocolate bar. If he's going to find a golden ticket in there. Let's find out if he has a golden ticket. So remember what you made as your prediction and think, okay, I think it's going to be in there, or, it's only one candy bar. It's not in there. So let's find out. Chapter 7, Charlie's Birthday. Happy birthday! Cried the 4 grandparents as Charlie came into their room early the next morning. Charlie smiled nervously and sat down on the edge of the bed. He was holding his present, his only present, very carefully in his 2 hands. Wonka's Whipple Scrumptious Fudge Mallow Delight, it said on the wrapper. The 4 old people, 2 at either end of the bed, propped themselves up on their pillows and stared with anxious eyes at the candy bar in Charlie's hands. The room became silent. Everybody was waiting now for Charlie to start opening his present. Charlie looked down at the candy bar, ran his fingers slowly back and forth along the length of it, stroking it lovingly, and the shiny paper wrapped in the small candy made little sharp crackling noises in the quiet room. Then Mrs. Bucket said gently, you mustn't be too disappointed, my darling, if you don't find what you're looking for underneath that wrapper. You really can't expect to be lucky as all that. She's quite right, said Mr. Bucket. Charlie didn't say anything. After all, Grandma Josephine said, in the whole wide world there are only 3 tickets left to be found. The thing to remember, Grandma Georgina said, is that whatever happens, you'll still have the bar of candy. Wonka's Whipple Scrumptious Fudge Mallow Delight, cried Grandpa George. It's the best of them all. You'll just love it. Yes, Charlie whispered. I know. Just forget about all those golden tickets and enjoy the candy, Grandpa Joe said. Why don't you do that? They all knew it was ridiculous to expect this one poor little candy bar to have a magic ticket inside it, and they were trying as gently and as kindly as they could to prepare Charlie for the disappointment. But there was one other thing that the grown-ups also knew, and it was this, that however small the chance might be of striking lucky, the chance was still there. The chance had to be there. So kind of what they're saying is that even though it's really, 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 really small chance that Charlie is going to get a golden ticket in this one candy bar, there's still hope that it could be there. So even though it's most likely not going to happen, it could happen. This particular candy bar had as much chance as any of the others of having that golden ticket. And that was why all the grandparents and parents in the room were actually just as tense and as excited as Charlie was, though they were all pretending to be calm. So they're all saying, it's not going to be in there, just eat the candy bar, it's okay. But really they're like, oh, it could be in there, oh my gosh. So they're like hiding that all inside. They're like secretly trying to stay calm, but really they're like, oh, we could have the golden ticket in here. So maybe it'll be in there. You better go ahead and just open it, or you'll be late to school, Grandpa Joe said. You might as well get it over with, Grandpa George said. Open it, my dear, Grandma Georgina said. Please, open it. You're making me jumpy. Very slowly, Charlie's fingers began to tear open one small corner of the wrapping paper. The old people in the bed all leaned forward, craning their scraggy necks. Then, suddenly, as though he couldn't bear the suspense any longer, Charlie tore the wrapper right down the middle, and onto his lap there fell a light brown, creamy-colored chocolate candy bar. There was no sign of a golden ticket anywhere. Well, that's that, said Grandpa Joe brightly. It's just what we expected. Charlie looked up. 4 kind old faces were watching him intently from the bed. He smiled at them, a small, sad smile, and then he shrugged his shoulders and picked up the candy bar and held it out to his mother and said, Here, Mother, have a bit. We'll share it. I want everybody to taste it. Certainly not, his mother said, and all the others cried, No, we wouldn't dream of it. It's all yours. Please, Charlie begged, turning around and offering it to Grandpa Joe. But neither he nor anyone else would take even a tiny bite. It's time to go to school, my darling, Mrs. Bucket said, putting an arm around Charlie's skinny shoulder. Come on, or you'll be late. So think about how he felt. He had all this excitement building up, going, oh my gosh, I could possibly get a golden ticket, get to go to Mr. Wonka's factory, and get a lifetime supply of chocolate. All to find out that the only thing in the wrapper is the candy itself. How do you think he is feeling when he opens that and doesn't find a golden ticket? How would you feel if you opened it and you didn't find a golden ticket? So maybe tell someone around you. Tell your pet if they're with you. My dog is still with me. He was just napping again. And I woke him. Tell someone and let them know how you would feel if you were in Charlie's shoes. What would it be like? We're going to go on and read Chapter 8, which is called 2 More Golden Tickets Found. That evening, Mr. Bucket's newspaper announced that the finding of not only the 3rd ticket, but the 4th ticket as well. The 2 golden tickets found today, screamed the headline. Only 1 more left. All right, said Grandpa Joe when the whole family was gathered in the old people's room after supper. Let's hear who found them. The 3rd ticket, read Mr. Bucket, holding the newspaper up close to his face because his eyes were bad and he couldn't afford glasses. Hi, I might be in a little different spot. I had to pause and talk to a couple students that called into my Google Hangout because you can call in anytime if you need help or just want to say hi. So we're going to pick up. We're finding out who the next 2 lucky winners are of the golden tickets. The 3rd golden ticket, read Mr. Bucket, holding the newspaper up close to his face because his eyes were bad and he couldn't afford glasses. The 3rd ticket was found by Miss Violet Beauregard. There was a great excitement in the Beauregard household when our reporter arrived to interview the lucky lady. Cameras were clicking and flashbulbs were flashing and people were pushing and jostling and trying to get a bit closer to the famous girl. And the famous girl was standing on a chair in the living room, waving a golden ticket madly at arm's length as if she was flagging a taxi. She was talking very fast and very loudly to everyone, but it was not easy to hear at all what she said because she was chewing so ferociously upon a piece of gum at the same time. So it's hard to understand what she was saying because she was chomping on gum. And some of you know I'm not a big fan of gum, so I would not like to listen to her talk. I'm a gum chewer, normally, she shouted. But when I heard the news about these tickets things for Mr. Wonka's, I laid off the gum and switched to candy bars in the hope of striking lucky. Now, of course, I'm right back on gum. I just adore gum. I love it. I can't do without it. I munch it all day long, except for a few moments at mealtimes when I take it out, stick it behind my ear for safekeeping. To tell you the honest truth, I simply wouldn't feel comfortable if I didn't have that little wedge of gum to chew on every moment of every day. I really wouldn't. My mother says it's not ladylike, and it looks ugly to see a girl's jaw going up and down all day long. But I don't agree. And who's she to criticize anyway? Because if you ask me, I'd say that her jaws are going up and down almost as much as mine are just from yelling at me every minute of the day. Now, Violet, Miss Beauregard said from a far corner of the room where she was standing on the piano to avoid being trampled by the people. All right, Mother, keep your hair on, Miss Beauregard shouted. And now, she went on, turning to the reporters again, it may interest you to know that this piece of gum I'm chewing right at this moment is one I've been working on for over 3 months solid. That's a record, that is. It's beaten the record held by my best friend, Miss Cornelia Prinsmetal, and she was mad. It's my most treasured possession right now, this piece of gum is. So, Miss Violet Beauregard. Nope. Yep, Violet Beauregard. Whew, my brain is not working right. Miss Violet Beauregard is our third winner. She is a gum chewer, and she's not exactly nice to her parents. She has been chewing this one piece of gum for 3 months straight. Now, for me personally, I know when I chew gum, that after about an hour or so, it loses its flavor, it kind of gets hard, and you're like, I'm done with this, spit it out. She's had it for 3 months. And when she stops chewing to eat meals, she takes it out of her mouth and sticks it behind her ear. I personally probably wouldn't do that because it does not sound very tasty to take a piece of gum, stick it to your ear, and then when she's ready to chew it again, she grabs it from behind her ear, pops it in, and eats it some more. So think to yourself, is that something you'd want to do? Here's a picture of Miss Violet Beauregard. An interesting picture of her waving this ticket around frantically. At nights, I just stick it on the end of my bedpost, and it's as good as ever in the morning. A bit hard at first, maybe, but it soon softens up again, and after I've given it a few good chews, before I started chewing for the world record, I used to change my piece of gum once a day. I used to do it in our elevator on the way home from school. Why the elevator? Because I like sticking the gooey piece I just finished with onto one of the elevator buttons. Then, the next person who came along and pressed that button got my old gum on the end of his or her finger. Ha ha! And what a racket they kicked up, some of them. You get the best results with the women who wear expensive gloves on. Oh, yes, I'm thrilled to be going to Mr. Wonka's factory. And I understand that afterwards he's going to give me enough gum to last me the rest of my whole life. Whoopee! Hooray! Beastly girl, said Grandma Josephine. Despicable, said Grandma Georgina. She'll come to a sticky end one day, chewing all that gum. You'll see she doesn't. So the grandparents once again are going, she's beastly, she's despicable, which means she's a horrible child. Like, oh my gosh, can you believe she's doing that? And who got the 4th ticket, Daddy? Charlie asked. Now, let me see, Mr. Bucket, peering at the newspaper again. Ah, yes, here we are. The 4th golden ticket, he read, was found by a boy called Mike TV. Another bad lot, I'll be bound, muttered Grandma Josephine. Don't interrupt, Grandma, said Mrs. Bucket. The TV household, said Mr. Bucket, going on with his reading, was crammed with all the others with excited visitors when our reporter arrived, but young Mike TV, the lucky winner, seemed extremely annoyed by the whole business. "Can't you fools see I'm watching television?" he said angrily. "I wish you wouldn't interrupt." The 9-year-old boy, who was seated before an enormous television set with his eyes glued on the screen, and he was watching a film in which one bunch of gangsters was shooting up another bunch of gangsters with machine guns. Mike TV himself had no less than 18 toy guns in various sizes hanging from belts around his body. And every now and again he would leap up into the air and fire off half a dozen rounds from one or another of his weapons. "Quiet!" he shouted when someone tried to ask him a question. "Didn't I tell you not to interrupt? This show's an absolute whiz-banger. It's terrific. I watch it every day. I watch all of them every day. Even the crummy ones, where there's no shooting. I like gangsters best." So Mike TV loves to watch television. Kind of hint on why the author gave him the last name of TV. And when these reporters come, he is very rude to them, like, "Get away from me. I told you not to talk to me when I'm watching my television show. Leave me alone." Not very polite. And he also loves shows where there's a lot of guns and weapons, and he has them strapped all around him. I'll show you the picture, maybe. There he is watching his TV. And that is Mike TV with all of his weapons strapped around him. They're terrific, those gangsters, especially when they start pumping each other full of lead or flashing the old sellers or giving each other the 1, 2, 3 with their knuckle busters. Oh boy, what I wouldn't give to be doing that myself. It's the life, I tell you. It's terrific. "That's quite enough," snapped Grandma Josephine. "I can't bear to listen to it anymore." "Nor me," said Grandma Georgina. "Do all children behave like this nowadays? Like these brats we've been hearing about?" "No, of course not," said Mr. Bucket, smiling at the old lady in the bed. "Some do, of course. In fact, quite a lot of them do. But not all." "And now there's only one ticket left," said Grandpa George. "Quite so," sniffed Grandma Georgina, "and just as sure as I'll be having cabbage soup for supper tomorrow, that ticket'll go to some nasty little brat who doesn't deserve it." So the conversation there at the end between the grandparents was, look at all these kids. They're so rude and selfish, and they're like, "This is what I want. I don't care what you want." And they're not very nice to the adults around them or people around them. So they're just not that great, and they call them brats. They say, "Are all kids like this?" And Mr. Bucket's like, "Of course not. There's a lot who do act this way, but not every one of them is this way." And I want you to think to yourself, who is one boy that we've met in our story, the character, who has not been a brat so far, who has not been rude, who has been very polite, who's been nice to those around them? Maybe comment on this post for today and go, name that one person who's different. Who is that kid who has been different from all the others? So that is the end of chapter 8. We're going to read chapters 9 and 10 in the next video. But for today, that is all we're going to read. Keep watching for the next post where I do the comprehension sheet. I'll read that out loud to you. You don't need to do it today with this. We're kind of trying to keep a schedule if you feel like you want to. It's just when it comes to the day that I post the video of the questions, you're not going to have any work for my class, which is up to you. So keep working. If you have any questions or want to talk to me about the book or anything else for school, feel free to call into my hangout during school hours, comment on something in classroom, or email me. And we're going to keep working on this, keep working hard, doing our best, and staying home because we're distance learning. William says goodbye, and I say goodbye, and I hope you're doing well. Bye, everyone.